Recording. Hello, everybody. Today is January 31st, 2023. This is Via, I'm Via, and this is MoveEasy Yoga with Via. We're going to start in the ordinary fashion with your legs up on a chair or a couch or a something. And be here for 7 minutes. Just breathing easily with awareness. Allowing your entire body to come into the room, body, mind, and spirit. Come into the room and start your yoga practice. While you're here, your hips are in neutral. Your pelvis, your hips are in neutral. And we'll practice that later in the class today. But what this means is you may have your hips a little far, a few inches away from the chair. Stay where you are. Put your tongue at the seam of your teeth in your roof, or curl it on the roof of your mouth, and then slowly rotate your cervical spine from side to side. And when you're finished, get ready for a vagus nerve reset. Not moving anything except your eyeballs. You're moving the nerve, optical nerve. So shift your eyeballs to the right and wait for a sigh, swallow, yawn, or gulp. Come back to center and shift your eyeballs only to the left and wait for a sigh, swallow, yawn, or gulp. And come back to center and do this 2 more times without my cueing at your own pace. I'm going to ask Kathy to tell me when she's done, so she'll be my marker. But right, left, right, left. If you're just getting started, like Debbie, it may take a while before a yawn comes. I mean, as in weeks. But keep trying. The only thing that's moving is your eyeballs and the optical nerve that actually runs back behind your eyes and trips the vagus nerve. That's how that all works. And Kathy's finished, so maybe you're finishing up too. And get ready for head ramping. Remember what I said before class. And you may want to try to head ramp on a sponge ball. So we're creating resistance with the wall, with the floor behind us, because you're pressing your occipital ridge and your spine towards the floor. And you don't want to do too much. If you're worried about that, you can soften it by sitting up and not having the floor behind you, or you can be on a sponge ball. And just, I forgot to mention, or I need to mention, so you're just going to slowly move your head back. The chin drops a little. Hold and then release. And do it 4 more times. This is an exercise to counteract all of the damage that happens when we round forward over our computers or our cell phones or our steering wheels or our knitting project or embroidery projects. Needle.
Yeah.
Needle. And let's move along. Breath work. Today, let's do an extended exhale breath. So you're still supine. Take an inhale, and you can count the breath, how long that takes. Maybe it's 4 counts. And then on an exhale, you try to make your exhale longer, extended, longer than your inhale. And do 6 of those. With practice, you may be able to double the length of your exhale. So it's twice as long as your inhale. Okay. That should be about enough time for that. Let's get ready for hypopressives by pushing the chair or the away or pushing your body away from the chair, either way, so that you can be continue to be supine with your knees bent. Your heels are on the floor, but lift your toes to dorsiflex your feet, your ankles. Bring your arms up above your head, above your chest, as if you're hugging a tree, and then flip your hands so that they're pressing up toward the ceiling, and press them up toward the ceiling while you press your shoulder blades down towards the mat. This is you should feel some shoulder work that it happens with this shape. We're going to take 3 breaths and then hold the breath out, no breath, for 15 counts. So 3 no ordinary breaths, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last breath, inhale and exhale all the way out. Hold your breath out, no breath. Your rib cage spreads and your belly tightens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Inhale, the arms come down, and exhale, the feet come down. So it's like a little suction cup. You're creating a suction or a vacuum by the no breath. And this helps with incontinence it helps with waistline, trims your waistline. And it helps with pelvic floor strength. Okay, let's extend your legs along the floor. And cross your right ankle over your left leg. Bring your arms up over your chest like you did before, and then stack them with the left hand on top and bring your arms overhead. Get as long as you can, straighten your arms as much as you can. 3 breaths, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale all the way out. Hold your breath out, vacuum. No breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Inhale, arms come down, and exhale, uncross your legs. Other side, left leg on left ankle on right ankle. Arms up above the chest and stack with the right hand on top, and then bring your arms overhead. 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. 3rd breath. Inhale. Exhale all the way out. Hold your breath out. No breath. Vacuum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Inhale, uncross your arms come down, and then exhale and cross your legs. Okay, go ahead and just bend your knees and do windshield wipers wide. Take your legs wide and do windshield wipers or hip. This is a hip opener. You don't have to keep your hip on the floor. When you drop down to the right, the hip on the left may lift. And just do that a couple times. I really am liking this great lately as a hip opener. And it's something you can do as a transition. You can do it in bed. Should help with your hips. Come back to center and finish up that. We're going to review the 6 directions of motion, DOM, it's called directions of motion of the pelvis. And this is something we are always talking about at the static rest, the first pose we do with your legs up on a chair. We're always saying stay in neutral spine. This is to help you know how to get in and out of neutral spine and then return to neutral spine. You're going to get in and out with a posterior tilt of the pelvis or an anterior tilt. You don't have to remember those names. So, and I don't remember the names exactly. So, but go put your hands on your ASIS, which is this bony high point mark, and then drop the pelvis towards the floor in front of you. So between the legs, drop it, go the other direction, Kathy, I think. Oh. Yeah, that one. Drop as if your pelvis is dropping towards the floor between your legs. That's one, I think is the anterior tilt. And then you come back through neutral and then drop towards your chest. So you're, towards the belly button, you drop. And that's a posterior. And then go back through neutral and drop. And actually rock back and forth about 5 times, trying to go as far as you can go forward, and then as far as you can come backward towards your belly button. So you're spilling water between your legs, and you're spilling water into your belly button by your motion. This is the direction. These are the directions of motion. This is the forward, backward direction of motion. There are six. There we have six. These are two. The first two. Anterior and posterior tilt. And in between is neutral. So you come through neutral to go to the opposite tilt. And try to make this, do this quietly, slowly, with awareness. This actually will help people who have hip problems, like Debbie. This might help, this awareness, this movement, this very slow, simple, foundational, functional movement may be a big deal. I've had students come back to me after I did this in class and say that just made
It's
all
cutting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just indicates the hips.
Yeah. So this, even though this sounds kind of simple,
yeah.
And so finish that up, and then we're going to do two more directions of movement, two more pairs with the hips, with the pelvis. When I say hips, I really should probably be saying pelvis in this case. So this is the hip hikes. So I want you to put your finger on the top, at the side, at the top of the bony part, which is the top of your pelvis on the side, and then you're going to lift your pelvis towards your armpit. That's a hip hike. And then you're going to do it on the right, and then come back to neutral, and then let's do it on the left. So let's alternate. So come back to neutral. Now lift on the left side, lift the bony part of the pelvis that you can feel on the side of your body. Lift that up towards your armpit, your left armpit, and come back. And now do 5 more of these alternating hip hikes, and do them at your own pace. You are exploring your anatomy. So do this with awareness and curiosity. This is one of the things belly dancers do.
Hula dancers too.
Hula too. And when you're finished, come back to neutral. You're always passing through neutral. I think you get that by now on this pair of pelvic bones is a set of right and left. The last one is just a rotation. So you can, once again, put your hand on the ASIS, which is that bony mark on the front, on the edge of the front, actually, of your belly. And then you're going to push down to the right. So it's a rotation. This is kind of almost a spinal rotation, but we're rotating the pelvis. Drops to the floor, comes back to neutral, and then drop on the other side. So this is another one we're doing alternating. Do it with awareness and curiosity. Pelvis is dropping. This is the last set of 3 pairs of directions these are the only directions. DOMs are, when you talk about DOMs, you talk about how many directions can this bone move in. This is called a hip rotation or a pelvic rotation. So let's see if I can, you do that while I try to tell you why I think it sounds confusing to use both the term hip and pelvis in the same movement, but they are similar, and they are used interchangeably in movement circles. But the hip has a little indentation called the acetabulum, where the head of the thigh bone sits. The pelvis has, I'm sorry, the pelvic bone has the acetabulum. The head of the thigh bone or the femur sits there, and that's where you get all the hip joint motion, is at that part of the hip. So you can see, I guess, why we can say both move your pelvis and move your hip. But today we're really talking about moving the pelvis, the pelvic bone, which is this, there's two bony little cups that the leg bone sits in, and then also they attach to the sacrum. Okay, so that's that. Go ahead and do your windshield wipers, wide windshield wipers. Just for a transition, we're going to go to, we're going to stay here for a little while. I hope you don't mind staying in supine a little longer. And we're going to do leg lifts and knee drops and a figure 4. After we do wide windshield wipers. Go down as far as you can. Okay, take your legs as wide as you can. This has become my new favorite pastime, actually. So that's why you're going to see it in classes now. Come on back. Knees bent, feet on the floor. Leg lifts. These are bent knee leg lifts. So keep the knee bent, and you can look at Kathy. You just come up with your knee bent, keep it at an angle, and then drop it. And then go the other side. So we're going to do alternating bent knee leg lifts. Slowly, awareness, curiosity. What moves? What doesn't move? This is another functional or foundational movement of the body, and you'd be surprised at what happens when you do this. You might say to yourself, "This isn't yoga," but but it is yoga. It's an underlying fundamental movement. It's yoga and it's life.
What was it Terry said to me once? Motion is lotion.
Motion is lotion. But if motion is lotion until it if you're not moving purely, you also may be hurting yourself. So emotion can also be, but if you're moving well, like this, you're going to lubricate your joint, that's for sure. And you're training the brain to move yourself in the future with this kind of fundamental pure movement. Have we finished the 5, Kathy, do you think?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, come back. Now knee drops. So this is another fundamental leg movement. So just one side and then the other. You're going to drop out to the outside and then drop the other one. But, are you alternating, Kathy?
Oh no, you want me to alternate? Okay.
I was thinking of alternating. So let's one side, come back, and then the other. Make this slow. Keep your hips on the floor. If you feel a pull in your groin, you've gone too far, because this is really an exercise to move the adductor and abductor, the muscles along the thigh. Otherwise, it becomes a flexion exercise, a hip flexor, which is not what we're after here. And you're going to do about 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
All right. Now take your right knee towards your chest. Put your left ankle on in front of your, put your right ankle in front of your left knee. And we're going to, and then you're going to put your hands or a strap behind your left thigh. And this is called, I call it a rocking figure 4. And you're going to, so if you can't do this with hands, use a strap. And then you're going to pull your left knee forward, push your right thigh back away from you with your elbow, if you can, and rock back and forth. And you're going to lift your chin up too when you rock. It's rocking back and not that way, not side to side, back and forth, Kathy.
Forward and back.
Forward and back. Yep. Lift up unless it bothers your neck. Don't lift up if it doesn't bothers your neck. Otherwise, up you go and back and up and back. Switch sides, everybody. This is called a rocking figure 4. Remember, you can use your left elbow to push out on your left thigh. Okay. Now come up to a quadruped position, hands and feet. Hands and feet. Hip and spine work. Hands and feet. The first thing we're going to do is cat-cow. So you're going to drop your belly button towards the floor and lift your butt. And then you're going to reverse it and bring your belly button toward the ceiling and drop your round your shoulders. Cat-cow, and slowly move from one of those, the first position to the second. Feeling every vertebra. See if you can find every vertebra as you move. So one vertebra at a time, dropping down, belly buttons down, and then coming back up, starting at the tailbone, belly button comes up, coming down, starting at the tailbone, belly button comes down. So back and forth a couple more times. If you're having trouble being on your knees, you can put a blanket under your knees or a mobile, a therapy stick. Okay, finish up. Stay here. Start with bird dog. I want you to take your right leg and extend it along the mat and then lift it up. And then bring it down and coming back in and do the other leg. We're building up to the finale here. Bring your foot down, bring your knee in. This time we're going to add the arm, opposite arm. Right leg goes out, lifts. The left arm lifts, See if you can, ooh, this is hard, this is balancing. And we'll be here for a few more seconds. And then go ahead and bring your arm down, bring your leg down, bring your knee in, and go to the other side. Straighten your left leg, lift it. Make sure you have enough room to do this. Bring your right arm up. And we're going to stay here for a little while. If you can, remember you can come down if you need to, but this is a good one for you to practice. This is core work and balance work. And then bring your right arm down and bring your left leg down and bend your left knee. Come into a child's pose, wide kneed. Butt comes back and then arms come forward and rest. Some alternatives here would be to put a blanket under your knees or between your knees and your thighs. Or you could actually rest your head on a brick. And when you're finished with that, come up to standing for short foot, balancing on one foot, and heel lifts. It's going to have to make an adjustment, but you guys can already get started if you want on heel lifts, because we can do more. More is just as good as less on heel lifts. You're just going to stand with next to a wall or a chair and go up and down, and we're going to be here for a minute. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Keep going slowly in good posture with your feet parallel, your toes straight forward, and your toes parallel to each other. This is a great one to do in the grocery store when you're standing behind a cart. Or when you're in line somewhere, but you should be near something because this is a balancing exercise, you should be near something in case you start to topple. Fifteen more seconds. And now we're going to do this again with a therapy ball between the ankles. So you can use your therapy ball, or you can use, if you don't have a therapy ball, you could use a neuro ball or a tennis ball. And you do the same thing, but it's going to be a slightly different experience because you're also trying to maintain the therapy ball, but at the back of your ankles, as far back as you can get it. We'll be here for 40 seconds. If you lose it, start over. Try to maintain good posture. You can also pull your belly in and work your core. Okay. Now we're going to do balancing on one foot. As most of you know, except for Debbie, I suppose, is that there are lots of different ways to stand and on one foot. And this is extremely beneficial for balance and bone building and everything. But one of the simplest way is to just lift your other leg up. But here now, Kathy has her leg on one foot, or you can tuck it behind you. And you can do a standard pose in yoga, which is with the knee out to the outside.
Just don't put it on your knee.
Just don't put it on your knee.
Go below or above.
Okay, let's see here. So let's do this. Where's my, okay, 40. We're going to try for 40 seconds. And you can lightly touch a chair or a wall. The longer you can do this, the longer you will live, they say. That's the synopsis of research. Longevity. The longer you can stay balancing on one leg, the more likely you are to live. Much
less likely you are to fall and hurt yourself.
To not fall. The longer you can balance, the less likely you are to fall.
Right.
Yeah.
Which helps.
Which helps. Okay, switch sides, everybody. So you can do this at home as long as you have safety precautions in place. I have us timed for 40 seconds. But this is, you can do this at home. You can do this at the grocery store, behind a cart or in line, as long as there's something a touch point, a safe place to touch. And when you get good at it, you can toss a ball between you and your friend who is also good at it, can toss a ball, catch a ball, play catch.
On one foot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you could. I know you could. It's an advanced version, right?
Yeah.
Short foot. The next thing we're going to do is a movement called short foot, which is really good for plantar fasciitis and for ankle mobility, ankle strength. And so short foot, you're going to come forward with one foot, step forward, take a step forward with your right foot, lift your toes, lower your toes, keeping them straight, and press them into the floor, but don't bend them, don't curl them. And then I'm going to do a 40-second count here. And you should feel the arch getting tighter and smaller. That's the foot gets short, not much shorter actually, but that's the concept, is that you've shortened your foot by tightening the arch that runs from the front of the foot to the back, or the back of the foot to the front, however you want to think about it. But it's the plantar arch. And it's often weak. And the short foot, which is a very subtle movement, as you can feel, come on back and do the other side, is very powerful. But hard to cue, actually. I hope you get it. If you have questions, ask me after. Go ahead.
It takes practice.
It takes practice too. It takes awareness. You become aware of it as you practice and repeat. Lift your toes, lower your toes, press them into the floor gently to create more of an arch. And I'll put the timer on for 40 seconds. Short foot, it's called. I think the reason people don't teach it is because it's so subtle and it's hard to cue. And it's hard to notice. But it's a very powerful tool for strengthening the ankle and the arch and improving your balance. Okay, time's up. let's do this. Let's go to the wall with a brick. We're going to do a standing hip work on the wall on a block. So you're going to stand with your hip, your right hip toward the wall, and stand on a, let's see here, and stand on the right foot. And this is a balancing, so you can touch the wall. And now all you're going to do is pendulum. So you're just going to swing your hip. So it's not it's at dangle. It's more of a dangle than a swing. So I just want you to not actually move it, let it move in the socket, in that socket I was telling you about, the acetabulum. Let it move and swing because it can, and because this is a beautiful movement, as opposed to forcing, and swinging. So it's more of a dangle swing than a big wide swing. And the next thing you're going to do is come to a pause and hip hike. So you're just going to, there, Kathy goes. So what we did on the floor, you're going to hike your hip or your pelvis up, and you have a little bit of movement there because of the brick. And let's do it 4 or 5 times. And the last thing you're going to do is bring your left ankle over your right ankle and bring your right arm up above you. This is a side bend at the wall. So up and over, and see if you, and then flip your hand and see if you can get your hand on the wall or whatever you can do. It doesn't, but this is a really nice side bend, standing side bend at the wall. And we're going to stay here for 40 seconds. Big side bend. And now go ahead and switch sides. So face the other direction on the wall. The left hip is at the wall on a brick. The leg is on a brick. The first thing you're going to do is this dangling movement. So see if you can allow the dangle as opposed to moving it with your mind. Let it move because it's in a position that allows the movement. I don't know, that's pretty subtle, but but if you can find it, explore it. This is an archaeological visit to your hip and the hip joint. Be an archaeologist on an exploratory dig. What happens here? I like doing this also, like if I'm standing on a step sometimes.
Or curb, yeah.
Yeah, curb. Mhm. Okay. Come back to center, hip hikes, just hiking up. And releasing, and hip hike and release. Go. And the benefit of doing this on a brick is that you can come down farther than you would if you had to stop at the floor. Okay. Stop that and come cross your ankle, your right ankle over your left, and then bring your arm up and over for a side bend at the wall that is supported by this ankle cross, right? And then the hip juts out to the side, as much of a side bend as you can get. Okay, you guys, come on back. Find your way onto the floor for Yoga Nidra. You may want to put some towels under your washcloths under your head. You may want to put a washcloth on top of your eyes. Find a place, make a place for yourself that's comfortable and warm and safe. Let's start by watching the breath, breathing in and breathing out, and watching the belly rise and fall with the breath. I'm going to guide you through 61 points on your body. I want you to bring your attention to the place I mentioned, but don't move it. Bring your awareness now and your attention to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, knee, ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. That completes the 61-point guided meditation. Go ahead and extend your legs and bring your arms overhead by your ears and stretch and get as tall and as long as you can. Stretch one side, stretch the other side, stretch both sides. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your ankles and your wrists in one direction and then the other. Hug your right knee to your chest. Thank you, knee. And then extend your leg along the mat, right leg along the mat. Hug your left knee to your chest. Thank you, knee. And then extend along the mat. Hug both knees. And rock from side to side, releasing the lumbar spine and massaging the organs. Rock and a couple more times. And then whenever you're ready, roll to one side, maybe toward the camera or the computer. And let's stay here for our gratitude second. This is a time that we take to notice the things that we're grateful for, especially about the practice of yoga and the practice that you've just completed today. And notice that your body is also thanking you for bringing it here and moving it in the ways you did. And now bring yourself up to seated. And I'm going to remove the spotlight. I'm going to apologize. I just noticed a chat from Caitlin that reminding me or asking me if I had forgotten, which I had, to do the second half of rocking figure 4. So you guys get to do that after class today. Or remain lopsided for the rest of your life. No, that's a joke. That's but it's not gonna make it a big difference, I don't think. If I always left it off every day, yes, but not now. Press your hands together, see if you can find the scapula back for just a little extra minute. And then soften your prayer pose. Lift your occipital ridge up so that you can bring the skull over the top of the cervical spine, C1, nodding and bowing, and remembering, noticing that we are each a light, and that all of us are as one light as well. And we'll close the class by saying to each other, namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.